Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me is Robin Sachs-Frankel, personal finance and credit card expert with Forbes Advisor, a trusted destination for unbiased personal finance advice, news, and reviews to discuss credit card best practices and rewards trends. Robin, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, Jill.
And credit cards can be powerful tools when it comes to building a solid credit profile. What type of prep should we do prior to applying for a card?
Sure. First, the thing that I would recommend is to know exactly where you stand credit-wise. I would strongly recommend taking advantage of the ability to get a free credit report. You can typically check your credit report with the big three credit reporting agencies, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion once a year. But from this past spring, with everything that's going on with the pandemic, you're able to check your credit report once a week through annualcreditreport.com.
And why is my credit score so important? What factors go into it, and how can I protect or improve it?
Sure. First of all, there's a couple things that go into making up your credit score. And most of the time when people talk about their credit score, they're referring to their FICO score, which is a three-digit number, with 850 being perfect, which almost nobody has. And then 250, I believe, is the very beginning for somebody who maybe has no credit score whatsoever. There are several factors that go into building a strong credit score. The most important thing at 35% of your score is your payment history. And what I mean by that is, do you make your payments on time consistently? Somebody who always pays their bills on time is going to have a much stronger payment history than somebody who occasionally misses payments or who is a little bit late every month. You also have to consider the amount that you owe, your total balance amount. The higher the balances on your credit card or credit cards, the worse your credit score is going to be. The length of your credit history, somebody who's held a credit card for 20 years is going to get a little bit more of a boost to their score than someone who's just starting out. And also the mix of credit you have is important. There's two different kinds of credit. There's revolving credit, which is what you have in a credit card where you can carry a balance from month to month. And there's also something called an installment loan where you pay the same amount every single month. And that's just a different type of credit that's extended to you. Ideally, you'll have a mix of both types of loans in your portfolio. And finally, the last thing is new credit, the number of new accounts that you open. Generally speaking, if, for example, you're applying for a mortgage, you don't want to open a whole bunch of credit cards right before then because it can signal to lenders that you're doing something risky. Why is that person taking on so much debt all of a sudden?
And credit card reward programs can also be quite competitive, and some of them charge annual fees to enjoy those perks. How do you determine which program is best for you? And does the cost associated with them and the amount of charging activity to get those awards, is it really worth it?
Sure. I mean, that's a broad question because there's so many different types of credit cards on the market today. You hear a lot about these fancy perks that people get, for example, with very high-end credit cards that they pay hundreds of dollars a year to own. If you're only flying on a plane once a year, even before the pandemic and down the line, it probably doesn't make sense to pay several $100s to own a credit card because you're not getting that kind of value out of the perks. You can buy a lounge pass, for example, for, under $100 for most of these fancy lounges. Whereas if you can do that once a year, why would you pay $400 or $500 for a credit card, that you're only using once a year? There are plenty of no annual fee credit cards that also offer ultra high rewards. In general, I would recommend if you're thinking about how to get the most value out of a rewards program, try to get involved in a program that offers you cash back. So you always have that as an option as opposed to being locked into miles on a particular airline or points at a particular hotel.
And Robin, I've also seen concierge service offerings out there. What is that?
Sure. A lot of the credit cards, especially the premium ones that do come with the higher annual fees, offer concierge services. And it's basically what it sounds like, same as when you stay at a hotel. A concierge service through your credit card can help you find tickets to a particular event, whether it's a sporting event, a theater event. It can help you get reservations at a certain restaurant. It can do a lot. I mean, at one point in the pandemic, myself and my colleagues were testing out different concierges to see just what they could do. Some of them were even able to get toilet paper delivered to you or tell you where you could get toilet paper within a 5-mile range of where you live. So you almost want to think of it as a live Alexa or something. Like you can ask them a myriad of questions, and if they're able to answer it for you, they will. And there's no extra cost for the service, but if they do provide a good or a service that costs money, you do have to pay for that.
It's like, can you help me with my kids' math homework? That would be a nice one.
I
And
mean,
Robin,
you could try some concierges and see what they say. I don't know. You'd have to get a really understanding one.
all right, Robin, it's a wrap up here. Are you seeing credit card companies offering more rewards and perks as a result of COVID-19?
Sure. And it's actually, oddly enough, been a very exciting time in the world of credit cards for me because I'm seeing so many cool things come with credit cards. A lot of the issuers, in an effort to retain their clients, to keep them from switching to other cards, or just to try to entice people to sign up, are offering rewards on things that we didn't see before. I would say many of the major issuers are offering rewards for streaming, since most people tend to be at home watching TV these days. We're seeing a lot of that. We're seeing richer rewards on a lot of different cards. A lot of cards are now offering enhanced rewards for grocery shopping. We're definitely seeing a shift towards consumers changing preferences when it comes to what a lot of the credit card issuers are offering. Travel just isn't the same. So the idea of getting a travel-based credit card may not be as appealing to most as a card that rewards you for things like groceries and streaming.
All right, Robin, great to have you with us. Thanks for joining me on Trade Talks.
Thanks so much for having me.
You got it. And thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.